So far, 2023 has seen more than its fair share of big blockbuster hits, from Dead Space to the Resident Evil 4 remake, and with even more on the way, such as Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Redfall, right around the corner. But I want to take a step back from the AAA scene and take a look at one indie game that may turn out to be a gem that should not be overlooked. A game where we dive into a world of secret organizations, forbidden rituals, and cold-blooded murders. A game where we could explore the memories of the recently deceased victims we encounter as we search for clues and try to solve the last case of Benedict. However, before we descend into limbo, I want to take a brief moment and welcome anyone new to the channel. If you are new, please consider subscribing. I got a ton of stuff in the works that I would love to share with you all. Also, if you do happen to enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like. But anyways guys, we got a lot to get into, so without further ado, let's get into it. So yes, we have another Metroidvania style indie game. But before you roll your eyes at the thought of another low budget game in this genre, after all, I wouldn't blame you as we do have a ton of them already. I want you to just take a moment to see what unique features this game is going to bring to the table. For the starters, let's go over the concept. We play as a self-proclaimed detective bound to his demon companion. We're able to use powers to enter the minds of the recently deceased and search for any information we could use to crack the case, which I think is actually pretty unique. Yes, we played as a cop before in many games. However, most of the time in the Metroidvania genre, we play as a knight or a vampire slayer or a bug knight. So our character already feels different right off the bat. We have to traverse a monster-filled mansion, which while that does sound generic after all in a horror game, what mansion is not full of monsters? However, what's interesting about this game is it takes place in Boston during the 1920s. So you may be asking, what about the 1920s makes this game interesting? Well, first off, it's very obvious the game has a ton of Lovecraft inspired themes. Just look at this display that is up on the Steam storefront. It is very apparent that good old fashioned H.P. Lovecraft's work was a major inspiration for the game. In fact, it even says in the Steam description that it's a fantastical Lovecraftian Metroidvania. Well, the reason I bring this up is because Lovecraft actually grew up in the New England area. So towns in Massachusetts, such as Boston, probably inspired some of his work. In fact, he even wrote a letter to Robert E. Howard trying to explain his passion for the New England area. Man, imagine what some of those letters said. What type of weird stuff did the guy who made up the Cthulhu mythos and the man who came up with Conan the Barbarian even talked about? There must have been some bizarre shenanigans in those letters. But enough about that nonsense. Let's actually just get back to the game. So the overall point I was trying to make in a very roundabout way is the atmosphere of this game and the architecture we'll see in it would definitely match that Lovecraftian inspired look. And from what I've seen, it actually happens that it's accomplished that. But not only does it match it with that aspect, the colors and the art style really look great as well and very Lovecraftian also. It has that dark gothic vibe to it, but at the same time is really bright and vibrant. It honestly reminds me of the Ori games, but with a much darker tone. I'm actually very impressed with the overall look and the art style the game has. I think it's unique enough that it stands out and really has its own identity. But at the same time, it's not so unique that it's off-putting and unrecognizable to the player. And plus, the graphics just look gorgeous. That really has me excited for this game. But it's not just about the beautiful graphics or atmosphere, but the combat system seems to be interesting enough that it should keep me invested and entertained as I explore this bizarre world. From having defense abilities like Stone Scan, which will slow things down and give us a moment to think, but the game's also gonna have fast-paced abilities as well, such as sliding, blocking. You block in time correctly and you actually parry the monsters. So overall, we do have options when it comes to movement with both offensive and defensive. We're also having different weapons in the game that we could use to fight off the monsters, from using basically what's a sword, although I think they refer to it as a combat pen. We also get a pistol, which is something kind of unique. We're basically playing as a 1920s PI that goes into the minds of dead people, and our weapons of choice is something a pirate would have. But overall, I think all the craziness of this would actually work and could be a great mashup. Now, while the game does have some cool unique features and some charm to it, that being said, the game is still going to have some features that any fan of the Metroidvania genre would recognize and actually expect there to be. For an example, you're still gonna find some strange NPC that has a shop that you can use to buy items to help you navigate your way through the map. So yes, I'm actually pretty excited to play this. However, I do have some concerns that I do want to bring up in the video. For starters, the game is being developed by Plot Twist. And while I'm not gonna say anything bad about them, I really can't say anything good about them. They're a new studio with really nothing on their track record. And while being a new studio is not enough to set off the red flags, I do also have another concern. A while back, the game did have a demo up on Steam, and unfortunately, all the feedback from the demo was not overly positive. I saw complaints ranging from balancing issues to sluggish UI to even optimization issues. I know this was just a demo, and the developers may correct a ton of these problems. That being said, it is something to keep in mind, because many times if the demo has problems, the final release of the game has the same issues as well. Though I do want to point out, the developers have been active in the Steam forums and are already talking about improvements for the full release of the game, which I think is a great sign. The fact that they're taking feedback and talking with the community about their plans on improvements to the game is amazing. I wish more developers were active with their community like this. Seeing them actually engage with their player base reignites my excitement for this title. But I want to hear what y'all think. Are you guys excited to get your hands on this game? Is it something you look forward to playing? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know what other indie games are coming out soon that you guys are hyped for. As for me, I got a ton of work to do, so I'm gonna get back to the grind, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.